Yo, what's up everybody? It's Connor from Unscripted, back again with another video. In today's video, we are stepping aside from the news for a video, and instead we are actually ranking the top 10 AR players in the CDL from Stage 3, and as always, we are doing things off the script. Before we hop into the video, as always, don't forget to leave a like down below if you enjoy. Leave a comment as well with your thoughts on these rankings, what you might have different and who you might have higher or lower. Let me know down below, and subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoy the video and you're looking for more similar videos like this one in your subscriber box every week. I appreciate all of that. It means a lot to me, and let's hop right in. So, for this video, I did this video, a similar video with the SMG players, and the biggest feedback was to use statistics. Basically, don't be so opinionated, let the statistics determine some of this. So I did that in this video. I do have the stats on screen for each player. Now, I will say the stats do not determine everything, but they did affect my rankings some. I had my rankings and I saw the stats and I changed my mind a little bit on some of these things just to be more objective and not completely subjective throughout this video. So just so you know that in advance, stats matter, but they do not mean everything, as you'll see in some of these rankings. And let's hop right in. So, some honorable mentions kicking us off. We have Formal, we have Assault, we have Skies. Assault, honestly, if this was solely based on stats, he would have been in the top 10. He was like really good numerically. He had great stats. Pretty much every game mode he was solid. Formal, he had a high. He was up there in overall KD, and I think the respawns, but his search KD held him back a little bit. And then Skies finally had a really good stage. He had one of the highest hardpoint KDs in all of the CDL in Stage 3, so he really could have been in the top 10. Pretty much these three guys were considered for number 10. I think the top 9 were pretty well set, but number 10 was the one where there was a discussion, and it ended up being, none of these guys, but they were definitely right there. Paul X, another one who probably should be in here. He had a good stage as well. So lots of talent, and it was hard to narrow it down to just the top 10, but that's what I tried to do in this video, so let's get going. At number 10, we have Priesta. He had a pretty solid stage for the Minnesota Rockers. You see the stats on screen there. He was right around the top 10 in most things. His hardpoint KD was a little bit lower. That will definitely have to get up moving forward if they want to start winning hardpoints again. They were winning hardpoints. They kind of slowed down. They were pretty bad at almost every game mode but Control. They were okay at Control and bad the other two last stage. So if they want to get going a little bit better and, turn things around in the respawns, he will have to. You see his search KD was what led them. His respawns were a little bit lower. And by the way, the rankings are just among these ARs. These, the 24 ARs, the flex and the main ARs, not including all players. So he's the second. Now, like, for example, he actually was the number 2 overall KD and among ARs. But for example, the hardpoint, the tied for 14th, that's just among the 24 ARs, not 14th among all players. Just so you know that. And if you try to fact check me, that's why it might look a little different. But anyway, pretty good series from Priesta, or pretty good stage from Priesta. Moving forward with Major Maniac stepping back in there should help out in the search and destroy. Then we'll have to see, Priesta, one of the guys, he does have to step it up a little bit in respawns, and they should be back towards, being a potential contender. They'll be right there. Number 9, we have Max. Statistically, he could have been higher than I think the guy ahead of him, but we'll see. His stats are okay. There's nothing jumps off the page as good or bad. The search KD a little bit lower. That's a game mode where they struggled. New York, they were okay at search. They weren't, bad, but he should be a little bit better there. Control, though, they were a bad Control team. We all know that, but it wasn't due to him. He had the 8th highest KD among all ARs in Control. He was not the reason for their Control struggles, that's for sure. But, overall, pretty good series. Again, top 10 in 2 of them, 11th overall. So he's right there statistically. A really good series after many thought he should have been the one that should have been dropped for Hydra. I did not think that. I thought Mac was pretty underrated earlier in the year. I'm glad they stuck with him, and it's clearly paid off. He was really good in Stage 3. Someone you might not think of when you first think of the top ARs, but when you look at the numbers, you can't really deny it. They had a really good stage as a team, and he was a main reason for that, so you have to give Mac some love for sure, and I have him at number 9. Moving on, we have his teammate Clayster. So looking at the stats again, you wouldn't think number 8, but Clayster is like one of the guys that I think of when I think of players who bring more to the table than their kill-death ratio. And again, KD is not the only stat. They're just the stats I put on the screen. There's, the damage, first bloods, all of that stuff. There's so much more goes into this than just KD. But his numbers aren't bad. Hardpoint, 1.14, tied for 3rd among ARs. They were the best hardpoint team in the game. He was a huge reason for it. But you do see the S&D and the Control numbers were down, and they were also, Control was their worst game mode. Like I said earlier with Mac, one of the worst teams in the league in Control. He's got to be better there, and he knows that. Same with Search. They had their hard points. They needed that second game mode to just sort of be okay at, and Search, that's what they were. They were okay, nothing great. He can probably pick it up a little bit there, but he's playing great in the respawns, playing great overall, plus his leadership, his comms, all that stuff that Clay brings to the table that you don't even see in a box score. That's what he does. That's why I have him here at number 8. He's leading his team, and, the team success is surely there. It's paying off. Number 7, we have a guy who you might not think of due to his lack of team success, but we have Octane. The numbers speak for themselves again here. Something weirdly enough, a role reversal from previous years. Octane was known for being a respawn player, not so hot in the search and destroy. He was pretty bad in search throughout his career, but the 1.43 overall search and destroy KD, number one among ARs and overall in the CDL in stage 3. He was really good. His slaying numbers speak for themselves. The hardpoint KD not there, but his teammates were getting fried off the map too. It wasn't just him. They did not really have much going for them in the hardpoints. Controls, they're horrible at too. I think they've won like one control all year, but not due to him. Really good control numbers too, which is a game mode where, unlike hardpoint, control and search, kill death matters a little bit more with the lives per round. So good to see him slaying there. Overall slaying well. Octane again, he might not be the Black Ops 4 Octane, but he's still been a solid player. And it's unfortunate he really has not had the team success to follow along with his personal success, but he had a pretty good stage, and we'll see if he can keep it going in stage 4, maybe help his team get some wins. It's probably too late to qualify for champs, but got to give him his credit because he definitely deserves it after stage 3. Number 6, we have Dashy from Optic Chicago. If you would just look at the numbers, you can make an argument to have him a little bit higher. But the thing with Dashy was he really didn't do it across the entire stage. He had a really good run at the major, which definitely boosted his stats, but while the major matters more than group play, of course, that matters the most. Group play still happened, and he wasn't the best throughout group play. The consistency kept him probably out of the top 5. He maybe could have been switched for number 5, but just, you see the numbers. They're there, but at the same time, the 2.0 KD against Dallas definitely boosted his overall KD number. So basically, just the consistency is what lacked with Dashy. He was pretty rough start to the stage when they were all struggling. He was arguably struggling the most of anybody, but he turned it around towards the end. He had a really good event at the major, so he picked things up. He's slaying. If he keeps slaying like this, they will continue to be right there in this top 4 teams. I think they're number 4 team right now, and if he can keep going like this, they can make a run at some of these majors. I really do believe that, thanks in large part to Dashy's slaying ability. If he just gets the comms there, gets the teamwork there, them as a team, they have to work better together as a team. But if they can do that, and he keeps putting up numbers like this, they will absolutely, no doubt in my mind, be in contention for the next 2 majors and even champs. Cracking us into the top 5, we have Kenny, Kylo Ken. He had a really good stage in stage 3 ever since he moved to the main AR, which some people did not think he should have done. I am not of that belief. I think the AR positions are pretty well interchangeable. They're supposed to hold spawns or anchor or whatever, but it's 2021. All players know how to hold spawns. It's not just ARs. It's not just one player holding spawns, but the numbers for Kenny were great, and the consistency was there too. That's why I have him ahead of Dashy, because he did it throughout the entire stage, whereas Dashy really picked it up, just in the major. But 5th in overall KD among ARs, 9th in hardpoint, 11th in search, top 3 in control. What can you really say about him? He had a really good stage. They had some success as a team. They still are not doing quite as well as they want to be doing, which I think they have a high ceiling. They could do better, but they could do worse, and it just depends pretty much which version of their team shows up. But Kenny, he was probably the most consistent player on their team throughout the entire stage. You knew what you were going to get with him. He was frying, the entire stage. Just phenomenal stuff from him, and I think he'll keep it going. He's looked great. It's good to see him playing at the top again, because there for a while there, he wasn't bad to start the year, but he really wasn't anything like he used to be, like in World War II or in previous games, but that was not the same in stage 3. He looked phenomenal, really picked it up, and it showed what they had a little bit more team success, so that's good to see from him, and we'll just see if he can keep it going, moving into stage 4 and beyond. Number 4, we have Insight, and these numbers, when I saw them, really surprised me. I'm not surprised that he's up there in overall KD, but what surprised me was that his search and destroy KD was actually like his worst statistic by far, because in stage 2, he was dominant in search, insanely dominant. I think he had the highest KD among anybody in stage 2 in search, and in stage 3, he was only 15th among ARs. Not the best, but you look at his hardpoint, top 5, control, top 3, overall, top 3. He had a really good stage. They've turned it around. We all know how good they are, and it's mainly due to Insight. I think he is, in stage 3, he wasn't their best player, but since he's been on the team, he probably has been their best player. He's been really good. He's been consistent across all modes. You really can't ask for much more out of him. He's like the leading contender for Rookie of the Year. He's in the MVP discussion. What more can you say? Insight has been phenomenal, and it's showing, and he forms one half of the second best AR duo in the league, who we're going to talk about in a little bit here. But that's Insight, really good stage from him, and I'm sure he'll keep it going as we move along. Number 3, we have Cellium. So pretty much the top 3, honestly, interchangeable. I think number 1 was set, 2, 3, 4 could all kind of be argued, I think, a little bit, but Cellium, phenomenal stage from him. Top 3 in overall KD among ARs, top 10 in hardpoint, top 10 in search, top 3 in control, consistent across all modes, wins his 1v1s, make plays when needed. The thing with FaZe, it's kind of hard to rack up stats sometimes because there's only so many kills to go around. Someone has to not get as many kills and someone has to die, so sometimes it's a different person every game, so you never know what you're going to get from them statistically, but statistically he was very good. And, situationally, he made plays too. He always makes plays a lot in control, it seems. He captured the entire point by himself on Garrison that one time, winning 1v1s all the time. He wins his one-on-ones every chance he gets. One of the most individually talented players in the league. He's phenomenal. A good stage from him, and It's kind of hard. It's pretty much impossible to pick who is the number one factor for whenever FaZe succeeds because they all play so well, but he was consistent throughout. I mean, you can't really say enough good things about Cellium from Stage 3. Number 2, we have Cammy, one player that I've been, beating the drum on all year. I think he's been phenomenal all year, and he finally started to get a lot of credit for that in Stage 3. You see the numbers, they speak for themselves. Number 2 in overall KD, only behind the next guy among ARs. 4 in hardpoint, 3 in search, top 10 in control, which was his worst mode, but at the same time, they were the best control team, in Stage 3, so only so many kills to go around. The same sort of thing with Cellium. I mean, he was going to die some in control, but good stuff from him. They're great at search, he's great at search. They're great at hardpoint, he's great at hardpoint. I mean, he's been their biggest reason for success, at least in Stage 3. I think he was their best player. If they would have won the stage, I think he would have been the stage MVP. He was just great. He's so consistent. He always makes plays. He really does not have many bad series, and he's an MVP candidate. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Cammy was phenomenal in Stage 3, and we'll see if he can keep it moving forward into Stage 4. And maybe Toronto can turn things around and they can get back into that top 2 or maybe even win the Stage 4 major. We'll see how that goes, but I think regardless of what happens with them, we know we're going to get from Cammy. He's going to be a very good player no matter what. And finally, we have the boy Arcees. I mean, this is no debate here. He was the player of the stage, and he's got to be the number 1 AR then. And you see the numbers. Look at how consistent he is across all 4 modes. Between a 1.14 and a 1.18 in all 3 modes. I mean, what more can you ask for? Talk about consistency. Number 1 overall KD. Number 1 hardpoint KD. Number 6 search and destroy. Number 2 control. He was great. He had a really, not a bad start to the stage, but he sort of was slow to end Stage 2 and sort of slow to start Stage 3. But he really picked it up when it mattered most. He played phenomenally throughout the major, even throughout the end of group play when they needed to clutch up and win some games to get the winners bracket, which they did, thanks in large part to him. He was just great. So many big games, where he was rocking like a 1.5 KD, just going off in the hard points. He was carrying their team in some searches when nobody else could do anything. He was right there carrying the way. I mean, so many good things to say about Arcees. He was the best player, I think, in the CDL in all of Stage 3. It's either him or a Beezy. He was definitely the best AR, though. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He was great. They were great. And if they continue to have their success, he is going to be a reason for it. Even if he's not making the plays individually, his leadership, whatever else he brings to the table matter a lot more than his stats. But in this stage, he did it all. He had the leadership, the comms, and the stats. So you have to have Arcees as number 1 AR in the league until he proves otherwise. But right now, I mean, he's frying. So he definitely deserved this spot. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like down below. Leave a comment as well with your thoughts on where you agree and disagree with me. I'd love to hear it and have a discussion. Subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more similar videos from me in the future. I appreciate all of that. It does mean a lot to me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good day today. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.